Hello everybody, it's Kyra from Body Candy, and in this nice chilled out episode of The Tea, we're going to be talking about piercing, aftercare and healing. Arguably the worst part of piercings. Obviously, it's not always plain sailing. You've got tenderness, you've got swelling, you've got discoloration, a bit of leakage. All these things are normal to an extent. If these symptoms don't go away, it can lead to infection. So obviously contact your doctor or your piercer whenever you're a bit worried about them. As always, I'm not a professional piercer. I like getting piercings myself. Everything I tell you is professional advice or advice that I have used and I think it works. So with all aftercare, whatever you do beforehand, make sure you wash your hands. I know it sounds trivial. I know it sounds patronising. The amount of bacteria on your hand is enough to cause infection in itself. Best things to use always are your saline solutions, your salt with distilled water. Using these on a Q-tip normally is the easiest. However, I've also found if my piercings are a bit too sore to be messing with like soaking, I like to use them in a spray bottle and then just have a gentle little brush around with the Q-tip. When you do get scabs on your piercings, yes, I know they hurt. Everyone says not to pick scabs, but most of the time these actually do need to come off. In order for your piercing to heal, it needs oxygen, and these scabs are preventing that. So use your normal routine with your saline water or your salt water. I like to use either a Q-tip or non-woven gauze, and they normally kind of flick these little bits off. Just make sure you soak it first, otherwise it'll really hurt. During the healing process, mild soap is okay, but just make sure it isn't fragranced and try to stay away from it as much as possible. You don't always get told this, but you should. You should stay out of pools, the sea, hot tubs. They've all got nasty chemicals and bacteria in. If you do go in these, you can get waterproof bandages and band-aids. Try not to get your piercings when you're already quite run down, because that can really affect the healing process. For example, I'm really sick right now and I was wanting to get piercings this week, but I'm not going to. Saying that, taking vitamin C is really good for boosting your immune system. Obviously, keep your bedding clean as well. I feel like people never talk about this when you get fresh piercings. Try and change your sheets a lot more often, especially your pillowcases. Especially if you have pets that sleep with you like me. This is my secret weapon for when I have piercings. It's like an L shape. I think it might be a maternity pillow. But I like to sleep with my head there, and you have a nice gap to put your piercings through so they don't get hurt when you're lying down. Obviously, if a piercing's infected, you shouldn't really have to deal with that yourself. Go to a doctor, go to your piercer. I can't really offer advice on that because I'm not a medical professional. So some quick tips for specific piercings. If you have like nipple piercings, try and sleep in like a really tight sports bra where nothing will move. If not, light clothing. Just try and keep everything either skin tight or really loose, because you don't want anything really badly rubbing. For navel piercings, avoid really tight waistbands or high-waisted things. Try and just stick to something that's nice and floaty that won't irritate your stomach. For ear and facial piercings, it's quite standard, but one that people kind of forget about is the use of like hairspray, makeup. Just try and keep them shielded when you're spraying things especially. There's quite a lot to talk about with oral piercings. Oral piercings are a bit more difficult because they're more noticeable when they're healing, because they're in your mouth and you use your mouth for everything. So diluted and alcohol-free mouthwash is a great healer. It really is. It just makes you feel a lot more clean, and it really refreshes you when you're feeling a bit after a piercing. Try and avoid spicy or really messy foods when you've got new piercings in this area, because honestly, regret. I know that from past mistakes. If you smoke, try and rinse your mouth out with water afterwards as well, because obviously the tobacco build-up and all the chemicals too. Chewing gum's a nightmare with fresh mouth piercings. It all gets tangled and stuck, so try and just stick to mints if you're really wanting something. In all situations, obviously ice reduces swelling, anti-inflammatory medication. Brush your teeth frequently but really gently. Quite a lot of plaque build-up on oral piercings, which people don't really think about. When you get pierced with mouth jewellery, normally it's oversized, so you have room for swelling, so your bars will stick out quite a bit. Obviously, it doesn't look great to start with, but you might get used to it. It's really important that you actually downsize these, because it can really affect your gums and your teeth because they're a bit too big and they don't fit snug to your mouth. That's everything I can think of off the top of my head. If there's anything else you want to leave people, tips, anything like that, sound off below your best piercing advice. That's all from me today. Thank you so much. I've been Kyra and I'll see you next time.